Radio waves pierce the air. Kansas comes alive as Brinkley lands for the screaming throng of fans. The electricity is felt, and the heart-pounding, pulse-quickening speeches are met with the violent passion of voters who want change, who want new. All the while, mired in political discontent, Brinkley quickens his steps into becoming the richest and most famous doctor this world has ever seen. And if we can say one thing about Dr. John Romulus Brinkley, he was the GOAT.
I didn't see you there.
It all started early this morning.
From hunting ghosts to Bigfoot, UFOs, cryptids, true crime, paranormal, and more.
I've always wanted to see a UFO.
Oh, I was researching for your entertainment.
That's Bigfoot's scat.
He basically wrote the book on Monarch.
We aren't really comedians.
What if Buddha did cocaine?
The Addams Family on meth.
This is the Black Cat Report. See you on the other side.
Hello all, and welcome to the Black Cat Report in episode 125. I am Joey, and with me is the funniest man since sliced bread, the strongest man since the gym was invented, calmer than a paddleboarder surrounded by orcas. Gil.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Please don't get up.
They probably won't be getting up. Yeah, I mean, most of them. Some people might be running, though. I'm giving our audience some credit. Some people might be running, listening to a podcast. I do it. You know.
To this syncopation, to this rhythm, I admire you. You are really running uphill.
Yes, to have the nice.
This is a
smooth
podcast to
voices.
fall asleep to. We know that.
Or to squirm to, which you will today.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into this episode, we have a few updates. I want to say our monthly B3 episode is going live on August 5th. We are only 2-ish weeks away. Gil, you want to tell them how to get involved in this episode?
Yeah, 100%. So, ghost, GHOST, .beer, BEER. That's it. That's all you got to do. If you click that, if you go to that, if you type that in, you will find links on how to submit your stories, your experiences, right? And this month, I think we got a pretty awesome, a pretty fun one picked out.
We do.
We are looking for one of two things, or honestly, send us both. First one, the best prank you've ever committed. It doesn't have to be paranormal. It can be anything at all that you've ever done, and you are allowed to leave messages anonymously. Keep that in mind. It's a very powerful feature. The second, paranormal games. Have you ever said Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary into a mirror at night? Let us know. Did you ever reenact the Korean elevator game? Let us know. We want your stories, and that's what this month is going to be about.
Yeah. And that's not the only next thing that's coming out for us. We have Cup of Joey coming out on April 7th at 10 a.m. I always do like a nice little premiere drop on Patreon. Again, everybody, hop onto our Patreon. It's patreon.com/blackcatreport. Super easy. Just hit a little follow button or member button, whatever it says on there, something like that. But it's easy. It's free. You get a lot of the cool stuff that we do. We put a lot of our drops on there. We put a lot of different stuff that we don't just have on this podcast. So you get the behind the scenes stuff. So that is all the cool stuff that you're missing if you're not on our Patreon. So
it's true.
Yeah, it's right on the screen. I'm putting it right now. It's probably already been on the screen before. So yeah, just Joey, future Joey. Link. Patreon.com/blackcatreport. Well, last week, we ended as Dr. Brinkley had made a crap ton of money, about $28 million per year to be exact in today's dollars. He was invited to LA to build a hospital and had successfully been implanting goat balls into people for over 4 years, almost 5, successfully in quotations, because we'll find out later it's not always successful in things you try. Well, the world had opened up to him, and he had stuck goat balls in that opening, and he was on top of the proverbial world. That was until the California State Board of Medicine did some digging into Dr. Brinkley's past and found out all was not as it seemed. Like I said at the end of last episode, a semi downfall is coming. It seemed like some con artistry had been done. Dr. Brinkley had claimed that he attended and graduated from Milton Academy in Baltimore, Maryland, which in fact he had not done. And the California State Board of Medicine found out by calling the school. They said, we do not have any records of him. So that was pretty damn easy for them to do. He just kind of got away with it. Well, in the fall of 1922, he was run out of Los Angeles just as quickly as he was ingratiated into it. Fame is a fickle monster, they say. And Dr. Brinkley was freaking furious. And I mean furious, because as soon as he left Los Angeles, mom and pop medical goat testicle shops started popping up all around LA, basically knocking off the Brinkley hospitals, doing the same exact thing he had been doing for so long.
Posers.
I know. And he called them fake knockoff clinics. He got money together.
You can't be a knockoff. I'm a knockoff. How dare you knock off my knockoffs?
Exactly. And that's what he was doing. He was knocking off other people's work, but just, because other people had done goat testicle implantations before. They just didn't become famous doctors for it. Yeah, who would have guessed it?
Yeah.
Well, he paid for huge ads in the LA newspapers denouncing these clinics. So he would basically take out full page ads in the LA Times, LA Weekly, whatever the newspapers were at the time, and was just like, these clinics are not sponsored or taught by Dr. John Brinkley, because they were saying that he had taught them before he left town how to do these surgeries. And so that they were like, come to us because we know how to do it. We are taught by the greatest of them all, even though the medical board was like, he's not a real doctor. He just doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter if he taught you. He's still not a doctor.
His eclectic medical school license came back to bite him in the butt.
It did, yeah. It really did. Well, he had gone back to Milford, Kansas, because, like we said earlier, that's where his support was. It's where his family was. And the people still loved him for all the help that he had given them in the town. Basically built that town, like we said in the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
Well, during this time, he decided to start getting reviews from people so that he could drown out all the bad press from LA, because the editor of the newspaper had also started to target him in articles, saying he was a quack, he was a fraud, which he was. But, he's it is what it is, Well, he got hundreds upon hundreds of reviews from people. And these are good reviews, like really good reviews from people, which is weird. But think of it at the time, right? So a lot of the health problems that were probably coming down the line had not hit these people yet, right? So we're talking about some of these people are like a year, maybe 2 years, maybe not even that long after they had their surgery, some 6 months. And they're like, no, my vigor's back. I'm ready to go. He just didn't, he didn't have the bad reviews coming yet. And I mean, they would, but he just didn't have them. And he was basically collecting Google reviews to drop down a few of his bad ratings. He was literally just getting Google reviews.
Yeah. This is kind of like a restaurant where it's like, if they asked you for reviews right after you ate and the restaurant was delicious, but everybody got food poisoning, like nobody would actually know how bad the restaurant was until 6 hours later, when everybody was just, treating their toilet like it was a golden throne.
100%. 100%. That's what he was doing. Well, he ended up getting so many reviews, he decided to create a book of reviews, kind of defending himself. So many reviews. The book was called Shadows and Sunshine, Before and After Letters from Grateful Goat Gland Patients, Male and Female. That's a very
This is a
descriptive
ballsy
title.
move.
Yeah. He's nothing if not ballsy. Well, He was about to stumble on his first amazing idea. Not even the book, Post's goat nut procedure. He wanted to defend himself and drown out the critics, but mailing out pamphlets could only get him so far.
Mm-hmm.
He also didn't want to keep paying for ads in the newspaper anymore because to him, that wasn't worth it. So
No.
he hired somebody to help him build a radio station.
God damn it. Yes.
Dude's a genius. Yeah, right?
Yes. So good.
Mm-hmm. Now, AM radio station was almost brand new at the time. AM radio signals themselves started to be transmitted in 1906 by Reginald A. Fessenden, containing a speech and some music from Massachusetts.
Okay.
The radio station idea itself wasn't really popularized until the early 1920s when radio stations started to pop up around the United States. Now, again, Brinkley didn't invent the radio, nor did he really invent anything, but he was an ingenious innovator in that he could harness whatever he was doing and then monetize it. He was a true capitalist.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, in early 1923, he broke ground on his radio station and was awarded a broadcasting license by the FRC, the Federal Radio Commission, which was actually the predecessor to the FCC. And that commission was actually led by the Secretary of Commerce named Herbert Hoover, who would be the future president. At that time, there were about 600 radio stations broadcasting in the United States, and so many of them were just terrible content. Think about if there was only 600 podcasts in the United States at this time. You know, like right now is 600. Think how many of them would be bad. You'd probably have
all
like
sounded like us. Dude,
maybe pretty
the
bad.
Worst. Oh, God.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, trash.
Yeah, trash, yeah. Well,
trash
some
and
of the
scum.
programs,
yeah,
well, kind of like us, which you'll find out later. Well, some programs that aired at the time were a man who jumped out of a plane with a mic and described the sensation of falling with a parachute.
I would 100% listen to that.
That actually doesn't sound bad.
I want to find that audio and listen to it now, honestly.
Yeah, it might exist somewhere. Go prepare yourself for this one, because please prepare yourself for this one. I had to read it a couple
I'm prepared.
times.
I'm ready.
This radio show, the person took a boat trip around the world and described the Earth as being flat because he could see no curve to it.
Honestly, I've listened to a few podcasts where that is the premise of the episode.
I know.
And I am sad. I just realized how far we haven't come.
We have not gone very far. Not at all.
We haven't come very far at all, but I imagine Brinkley's going to help us come even further.
He's going to get us there. And of course, on the radio station side, there were lots of Christian radio stations. I mean, there already are a lot now. Like most radio stations in the AM.
So it's all paranormal, is what you're telling me.
Yes, sir. Well, while his radio station was being built, because he's rich, he decided to go on a world tour. He just had somebody building his radio station for him, and he was like, "Cool, good job. I'm out." Well, while he was traveling, he put 4 people in charge around the towns of Milford to basically give him spin, which was this really genius move.
Damn.
He would set this one guy. So I don't technically know if they were doctors. They probably weren't doctors. They probably were just like good speakers, orators at the point. But he would set one in a town around it, and he would go, "Okay, here's what I want you to tell everybody now in this area." And so he started creating fake headlines. Like the Maharashi. Yeah, he was planting it. He planted a seed that said the Maharaja was traveling to Milford to get the goat gland replacement surgery.
Wow.
And a lot of stuff like that.
So like you had to get in and you had to get your nuts cut into like ASAP. Because like
Yep.
after the Maharaja goes in there, like you're not going to be able to get in there. That shuttle bus is going to be full. Like Happy Harry's not going to have time to wave at you anymore. Like you need to get in now. That damn. So he planted the hype men. This is
He did.
Damn, he's good. One of the best, one of the finest flim-flam men I've ever heard of.
Yeah. And this, people looked at him, which is crazy. People watched him doing this, like politicians and management firms that did
they all took
politics. They watched him and took notes as he did this and went, that's genius. Yeah. We're doing that now. And so
this is American.
He was a pioneer. And I would like to say he was a spin hound, is what I like to call him. He was creating that spin. Yeah.
Yeah.
He actually was visiting China, Europe, mostly going on tour. So he was still touring. You know, his little clinic in Milford,
technically
Texas,
said it. Yeah.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. His clinic was still doing surgeries. So he wasn't doing them. He taught his like I can't say they're doctors because I really cannot say they're doctors. He taught his assistants how to do the surgery while he was gone. And so they would be doing the surgery while he went on tour. And like we said last one, he had to go on tour because of the TV. There was no TV to be like, hey, I'm doing all this cool stuff. Exactly.
Mockers. He taught his mockers, which are mock doctors.
That is what we will say. Yes, that is what we will call them from now on. Thank you.
Driving me nuts.
Yeah. That was one of his quotations. That was one of his promotions. You're driving me nuts. Well,
so he taught his mockers. Mockers and Associates how to perform the goat gland procedure on to dude, we have to be getting close to 50,000, 100,000 people at this point.
He's done so many. So if you think about it, he's been doing it for 4 years. It's 50 a month, right? 4 to 5 years.
Where's my calculator?
We're in 1923. Yeah, calculate 50 times 4. I mean, he's in the high hundreds. He might be. I
went to a public school. Give me a moment. 50 times. Okay, so how many times a week was he doing this?
It was 50. Oh, that's right. It was 50 a week, wasn't it? It was 50 a week.
Yeah. So 52 times 50, right? So that's 2,600 times 4. 10,400.
So
right?
he's done
and
about
that's assuming that
surgeries.
every day was average. Yeah. So we're looking at close to 10.5 thousand people with goat testicles.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot of people. Well, he was overseas in mid-1923, right? While he was overseas, the diploma mills were starting to be found out. And
oh no,
because he had, all the other stuff's happening. And Dr. Brinkley and his wife's license to practice medicine was taken away because they found the exact place, the eclectic university that he went to, was a diploma mill. And so they said, oh, well, you can't do surgeries anymore because you don't have literally any schooling in this. And like we talked about in the first episode in the beginning, remember he did go to medical school. He actually went to medical school, but he never graduated. He missed his last year because he was too broke.
And like, this is something fucked up too. First off, if your university is just a PO box number, I have some bad news for you. Second off,
yes,
and not to say you didn't try hard, but your university didn't. But the second thing though is like, he was a doctor in the U.S. military. He could have very fucking easily gotten the credentials, like so easily. Like people coming out as a vet at the time, dude. Like any university had been like, "Oh, you're a veteran. Oh, you were in the war. You have 30 years more experience in your 2 years of war than any of our doctors on staff do. We'll just rubber stamp that shit. You're good to go." So like this is a huge fault on his part. That's all I'm saying. Because like, bro, if I was fucked up and I had choice in 2 doctors, if I fell off a cliff, which is likely, if I fell off a cliff and I had a doctor that's like, I'm from Mission Hospital, which if you're local, you already know you should run, even with a broken leg, from a doctor from Mission Hospital.
Yep.
And the other doctor that was in this hypothetical situation said, I just got back from war. I'm going to trust the war doctor. I don't give a fuck what country, what military. It's like, that motherfucker's seen some shit. My shit's mild. They got this. So,
And
like,
he's gonna be
he
calm.
could have gotten
Yeah.
past. Yeah, and he's calm. Dude, spitting tobacco while he's doing it. You know, just
Yeah.
ding! Like, you're going to want to put
Yeah.
some morphine on that. Like, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't use what he had, any of the experience he actually had. And I mean, he only had 2 months and a couple of days, but you can still play that out as you were a doctor in the military. You don't even have to list your years, you know?
Dude, I mean, yeah, the amount of, this was the heyday of charlatans. He had no excuse not to hop in there and to just be beefing up his credentials. Like, I was in the war. Like, he could have Ronald Trued that shit so easy.
Yeah. And I mean, he was a charlatan, so it's weird that he didn't actually go through that. But, you know, we'll talk about more of it later about what happened in the third episode about that stuff. But, well, because the diploma mills were taken away, he was on tour in Europe, China, and the rest of the world. He decided, I got to go back to the US. It's time to go back. So he ended his world tour early in 1924, and he came back to the radio station, finally built. And he's like, yeah, finally, I got my radio station. The radio station was called KFKB, Kansas First, Kansas Best. And there's a little cute little quote they called it. What they did was called the Sunshine Station in the Heart of the Nation, which was their like little tag for Kansas. And I was like, nice. He does know Brandon.
That. I'm like, I like that. That's pretty cute. That's pretty cute. Damn, he's good.
Mm-hmm. Well, now, his first radio transmission, right, was him bashing all the authorities that were basically bashing him and working on putting him out of business. And at this time, the line was starting to grow around the corner of how many people were going after him. So he was just going crazy.
This I don't care. I'm gonna quote this video that I saw the other day. The video meme. I don't know what's it called. The modern short little video. You know, like
Real.
GIFs on social media. Yeah, but they're like video memes. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's how I view them, if I had to put it, because it's like, it's very
themes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it was somebody who had like had a headset on, and they were like, and at the top of the screen it said, every story about Rage Against the Machine in the 90s. And it was just like some tech producer for a studio, and he's like, hey, Rage Against the Machine. Hey, guys. Hey, fantastic. I'm really excited to have you here. Hey, could you do us a favor and not Rage Against the Machine tonight? Yeah, man. Yeah, we totally got this. We won't do it. Hey, man, thank you so much. It's like, woo! Rage Against the Machine. Yeah. Yeah. Just want to start off by saying, fuck the machine! Oh no, they're raging against the machine. Raging, we hate the machine. Oh, God, no.
They're killing.
That's basically what happened. Yes. But like, he's like, all right, it got totally established. Everything's set up, totally fine. Fuck this system. My goat balls bring liberation.
Yeah. Yes. Liberate these balls. Well, as he was going and as he had his first stuff on, he would speak for 15 hours a day.
This David Icke length time. Damn.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, he wasn't just
He's got some vigor. That is proof of vigor.
Yes,
like, I'm just saying,
he didn't even get the balls.
That is some serious, that's stamina. I'm just saying, I'm getting hot. I'm getting hot flashes thinking of that stamina. That is crazy.
Yeah. And now he wasn't just a boring droning like what would I say, PBS or like
David Icke.
David Icke voice. He could actually move you, right? He had a real radio voice. He was good. He could bring you in and out of a story, and at the time would pass and you'd be enticed and entranced with his voice. He had that voice it factor, and he just had a general it factor in all of it. Well,
damn.
He would also invite musical guests to perform because this, starting to be time when they're playing music. And during
You
the
had
hours he would
Kanye,
take off from
you had
speaking.
Beyonce,
Yeah.
Red Hot Chili Peppers. Yeah.
He did have those people of the time, which is kind of funny, and we'll go into that a little
Damn.
later of like who we helped find. The broadcasts that he would have for music and all that stuff, he would have military bands come online. He would have French lessons. He'd have astrologers, classical quartets, tell me a story lady, Hawaiian songs of farewell, and he'd have country music. He even launched the careers of musicians of one specific person called the Lonesome Cowboy or Roy Faulkner. It was a long time ago, 1920s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He launched
This is.
him.
I would listen to this today.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Dude, French.
just like his eclectic certificate. This is yeah, I would listen to this radio station. I mean, that's like that's a nice mixture between like voulez-vous danser avec moi to just being like ahimalama himalama, like, and just like popping in to just being like, and I'm on the tracks leaving you, and just moving through these different, like, that's some good shit. I'm an AM radio fan, not contemporary, trust me, but like a classic AM radio fan, and this is good. This is good.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, this
show.
might be the most legitimate work that he's ever done, because this is honest. He could just stop here and be okay and get away with a lot of shit.
And that's where we'll end this episode right now, as he became a radio broadcast engineer.
John Brinkley.
From
Brinkley. Balls to broadcasts.
And it ended there. Just kidding.
We're all happy. No.
He's got a long time to go. Well, during his speaking time, he used most of that time to expound on the great surgery that he was doing for people and how it was enriching and invigorating their lives and their nether regions. He was also one of the first of the time to talk about how great women were. He threw lavish praises on women for all that they do and how much they add to the world. And I want to say this. At this time, there were so many reverends and pastors giving the words of the good book, which for all intents and purposes shamed women.
Yeah, this is KN 397 2000. Coming in at 907 on the dial. Now, I know that this is a little bit different than what a lot of these radio stations out there are saying this evening, but before we get to this next new classic of I'm So Lonesome, I Could Sigh. What I wanted to say was, you ever stop and think about, for just a moment, your mother's also a woman? This is KN 93 227 697. Enjoy the mix.
Like, the most revolutionary idea is like, you know what? Dames are all right. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. But that's not all he said.
God damn it.
He talked about a woman's sexual needs and didn't shy away from the details, which is very, very crazy.
You ever stop to think for just 1/2 a second that maybe women like it. Maybe women like it too. Just like your mother. This is KN 93 2279. Have a good.
Truthfully, yeah, he just let it go, and one of the first of his kind. And I mean, because we talk about, well, like we said, it's like a lot of these radio stations were just Christian radio stations, and they're not talking about.
You ever talk about how Jesus had a mom? That virgin. Why do you think we still call her a virgin? It's pretty odd. This is KN 93 7229.
And now, with the radio station established and it running itself for a little while, he decided to head off to Europe to see if he can get a new medical degree, because he wasn't going to be able to practice until he had a real medical degree, right? So he was like,
Americans never question Europeans.
Exactly. Well, his first stop was Dublin. the universities declined to meet with him. They're like, no, thank you. Yeah. And then he went through London and Glasgow, and they also declined to meet with him. They're just like, no, we're
good.
Yeah, we know who you are. We're good.
How much
But-
money? Still not enough. Get the fuck
Yeah.
out of here. Go the fuck out of here. All right. GTFO. Go the fuck out.
Funny that you say that, because he went to Pavia, Italy. At the University of Pavia, they were wooed into giving him an honorary degree.
I thought he was gonna say I thought he was gonna hit up a Middle Eastern country, one of the goat loving countries. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, and I say that loving to eat goat. But I was raised in a very Lebanese area, a lot of goat. Man, I thought he would have went to Lebanon. I've been like, haha, damn, Italy. I don't picture Italy with goats.
Pavia, Italy. No, they just didn't give a fuck. Well, let's put it this way. Let's put it this way. It really wasn't his name that allowed them to give him a degree. It wasn't his fame that wooed them, because he did have both of those, right? Yep. He wooed them with money.
Yeah.
And he had a lot of that.
That'll do it. That'll do it.
He basically threw himself a banquet to get the degree, and invited all the elders and the teachers of the school. He hired a band and got so much good wine they could drown themselves for weeks. He knew how to advertise to Italy's finest school scholars.
If you're ever going to bribe Italians, this is an excellent model for bribing Italians.
Food and good wine.
That's it. That's all you got to do.
Mm-hmm. Well,
90% of the world, honestly. But yeah.
Yeah. And to be fair, this medical school handed out honorary degrees to people like Christopher Columbus. So that says something about them. They gave a shit ton of honorary degrees.
We heard you discovered an entire country. Yes, I did, and I brought back residents. Fantastic! We see nothing wrong with that.
Here's your honorary degree.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Mm-hmm. There's a bunch more names of honorary degrees, but I can't remember them at the moment. Christopher Columbus was the one that stood out.
Khan, Ho Chi Minh, Pol Pot, just
Benito Mussolini.
Pinochet, Benito Mussolini.
Funnily enough, not Adolf Hitler.
Why can't King Leopold? He was in there. He got 9 degrees. Fucking burned in hell 7 times. Some of those people, you just hope, as an atheist, as a staunch atheist, there's some people in history where you're just like, I hope hell is real. I would pray if that would help hell be real. And it's motherfuckers like King Leopold. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they killed a lot of people.
Still, Mussolini, one of the best hangings in history. We're going to have to throw that graphic up here at some point. I think I've mentioned it in about 20 episodes at this point. I need to just get a poster. I'm just going to replace this with Mussolini hanging from the light pole. Sorry.
Yeah, well,
continue.
Mussolini does play a part, and he'll be in the next episode. So we'll talk about that later.
Are you fucking with me? Are you fucking
I tell
with
you
me
how
right
many.
now?
No, I tell you how many people are actually in this story that matter, that are parts of this story. Is so funny. Yeah.
I have time to replace this with Mussolini just hanging
till the next episode. Yeah, he's in the next one. A little bit. He's a tiny bit in it, but he's in there. He's in there.
I have to replace this local art with fine international art of Mussolini strung up on a fucking pole.
Yeah. Well.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, sorry. After his degree was safely in his hands, he decided, time to go back home. I got my degree. No big deal. And now, he was back doing his goat surgeries, and he had a medical diploma in hand, and he was feeling it. I mean, feeling it. And in 1928, he would actually discover one of his most money-making schemes yet. And I know I keep saying this, but he just builds. It just builds.
Churning and burning. Churning and burning.
Yep.
I've been meaning to reach out to you, but your caddy's extended warranty. Now, if you haven't signed your goats up for insurance, you're really going to need to between now and March 32nd. You're really going to need to work on it.
Yeah.
What's really funny is that he was actually one of the first people that did advertising on radios.
I love our con men. Our con men push the world forward, which is why we elect them into office. I love this.
Yeah. I like that you say that too. Anyways, his next invention was called the medical question box. He basically created...
Is it a magic 8-ball? It's a magic 8-ball, isn't it?
He created the precursor to WebMD.
Oh my god, yes. Fucking love this guy.
Gil, how does the medical question box work, you ask?
You ask it a question, shake it up, and it uses the electrical interference of the atmospheric pressures on top of your argon energy to do some things that have been lost to time and answer your question. Is that how it works?
It's not that technical or that
okay, sorry.
inventive.
I went too far. I went too far. Yeah.
Yeah. So people would write into Brinkley, and his secretary would choose 75 questions, and then he would, basically choose the ones that he would like, about 5 or 10. He would then read these on the radio, these questions, medical questions, and then he would give his recommendations for helping or fixing the ailment. WebMD, basically, or what it was.
As a coast to coast fan, I catch a lot of AM radio that comes on before 1 o'clock in the morning, and these shows are still 100% going on. This is there is a dude that will sell you juice, that will make you juice, that will juice your juicy juice, and he also sells the juicer and the ingredients and the recipe book for that juice to juice your juicy juice to make your juice. Honestly, he's such a charlatan that I hear him every week, like 3 or 4 times a week, like on that AM. Let's see.
Yeah.
That AM radio up there next to the skull.
That actual one. Yeah, you can see that one.
Yeah, that actual AM radio. We should probably record him and put him on here. I don't think he would give a fuck. He is that much of a charlatan. These people are still 100% around. It's like, hey, and we'll be back from helping people like Catherine with their ailments right after this. It's like, hey, are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? You need to call up da-da-da-da-da. And it's just like, and then it's like, here's some of our testimonies. And then it's them reading the testimonies for them on a commercial for their show.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Sure.
I love a good charlatan. Okay, so this dude, he's going ham. I'm here for it. I'm starting to like this goat ball dude.
Well, he would offer the consultation, right, and comfort for free. Yeah. But what he was really doing was getting people to go to the drugstore. So, yeah, there it is. He had
affiliate marketing.
He had written to a bunch of different Kansas drugstores in his region, and what he would recommend would be the drug in the drugstore, and he would start getting kickbacks from those drugs. Some of the drugs were already made. Some were stuff that he made.
Oh.
Yeah. And to make it easier, right? Instead of the name of the drug, which the name of drugs are like sometimes really hard. Like he wouldn't say Pepto-Bismol, right? He would use numbers. So let's get into something, something he'd say, like a quote, right? So this is what I believe he would say. To relieve the irritation and constipation and gas that you have, ask for the number 65. So instead of going and being like, hey, I need Pepto-Bismol, you just go, hey, I need number 65. And the doctor who was already, give him kickbacks to John would be like, here's 65, easy. You wouldn't have to remember a name that you might forget. 65's easier.
Damn, that's so good. That's so good. Damn, this guy's good.
And I like to think of it like this. He wasn't just pinpointing the person who was asking about it. The people who were listening that could have also had those problems. So he's like he's just quadrupling all of his marketing. He would get $1 kickback per bottle sold, which at that time, that's a lot.
Bro, that's how much money is that? Do we know?
Well, think about it. I don't generally know, but I do know how much he made.
No,
I do know how much he made. I actually
Okay.
Yeah. He was making $14,000 a week at that time.
He's got the front door.
And just kickbacks.
Before inflation.
Yep.
14,000
a week.
Hold on, Joey. No,
I already know. I can already tell you what it is.
Are you gonna tell me what it is? Okay, what is that in Monopoly money, in today's money?
$6.5 million a year. Add that into
holy fucking shit.
Add that into what he was making with the goat testicle surgery.
This guy is literally like
it.
Joe Rogan's grandpa. This is crazy.
Anything he did just worked.
Money.
Yeah, I mean, made him money. It didn't technically work, but it made him money. I guess that's how it's working to him. Yeah.
That's how you view the working. It worked. Damn. So like, who just like saw a goat just like up on a car like, and he's like, I've got a plan.
Like, literally. The goat was just his entrance, The goat was just his entrance music, He just went whole hog on anything.
John Cena that shit with goat balls and just John Cena, just like goat balls on. Damn. I don't hate this dude. I don't hate him.
He's doing what he can in the situation.
And dedicated to his wife. That's very important.
He is.
I appreciate that. I respect that.
What's funny is later on in the story, I won't mention it because there's no story to it, but I'll mention it now. It's like people did actually try to say that he was cheating on his wife, with somebody else, with like a one starlet that he was working on in LA. And pretty much the author and the people that were interviewed in the story were just like,
everybody.
I just said no. That's not him.
He was committed.
That's not his personality.
He was committed. Like everyone else in the world. Oh yeah, 100%. Not his wife.
Yes.
All right. Yep. And I respect that. To own their kingdom. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, because she also was a big part of the kingdom too. She was like 50-50. She was just as much in the con as he was. Yep. She was just as much in there. Well, to say it like this, he was also untouchable too, because he wasn't technically doing anything wrong. He was just using the radio to entertain and advertising. So he was just pushing the rock ahead so nobody could touch him. Well, at the start of 1930, Brinkley's radio station was the most popular radio station in the United States, and he was starting to have high ideals of himself.
Of Kansas. We need to emphasize this. This is one of the least populated areas in the entire fucking continental United States. And one of the most popular radio stations is out of fucking Kansas. Not New York.
Small town,
Newark.
too. Not even Kansas
Miami,
City.
which honestly was a mosquito field at the time.
Chicago.
Not Dallas. Not Chicago. Not Toledo, which was big.
Not LA.
Not Cincinnati. Not Cleveland. Not even LA. Fucking Kansas.
Yeah. Milford, Kansas. Milford.
Did you all ever
Yeah.
hear about that before this episode? No, you didn't.
No,
Even the
nobody
folks from Milford are like, where? You're like,
knew.
nobody heard about it. Yeah.
Exactly. Well,
Fucking crazy.
at around this time, he was sent
Mhm.
a summons to Washington, D.C., because the precursor of the FCC, the FRC, Federal Radio Commission, started questioning his radio station. Yeah.
You say you got Hawaiians on here. Like,
pretty much, yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. They brought charges that his medical question box was giving people false information as well as lining his pockets. So he wasn't quite as untouchable as he liked to think. But Brinkley, thinking quickly while he was in this summons, while he was testifying in front of the FRC, he didn't want to get his radio license suspended. So while his lawyers, he had 3 or 4 lawyers with him while he was there, stood up at the questioning and said, I'll cancel the medical question box. If that's what you guys are all here for, like I just cancel. I don't need it. I don't need $12 million. Whatever. I'm still making $28 million a freaking year on Goat Bucks. Money doesn't mean anything to me. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. I could make it somewhere else.
Yeah.
He thought that that's what the commission was worrying about. And so being as arrogant as he was at this time, which was his head was just growing because all these ideas were coming to fruition. Yeah, they're all just coming to fruition. They're coming up gold. What he didn't think about was that they were monitoring his curse words and his general demeanor on air. And as quickly as they were trying to cancel the medical question box, they canceled his radio license.
He started the 7 words you can't say on air. He got so heated that he couldn't say fuck, shit. What are the 7 words? Fuck, shit, damn, ass, bitch. I'm forgetting my 7 words. I need to get them tattooed on me at some point.
I love podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're free. Well, in that same year, after they had canceled his radio license, on April 29th in 1930, the Kansas State Board of Medicine finally filed formal charges for immorality and unprofessional conduct. It was coming.
Yeah.
Well, the Kansas City Star, the newspaper, put forth a scorching article that noted people's lives were destroyed. One of the patients was quoted as saying, in quote, I was held prisoner by the doctor. I lay at the point of death while Brinkley, drunk, straddled the doorway and demanded $100 more with a revolver in his hand and threatened to shoot my 2 brothers if they did not pay him.
Damn. It wasn't until this moment that I realized that the American healthcare system has improved.
A tiny bit. They don't have guns
Slightly.
anymore. Yeah,
Un
slightly.
poquito.
Yeah. Well, if you remember when I was first talking about him, and he liked to spin his guns in the hallway. People, I imagine it started as fun, all good and good-natured fun about, hey, watch this, look how good I am with spinning guns,
Yeah.
But alcohol, lots and lots of alcohol mixed with doing surgeries, mixed with adding guns into the mix, adding in money.
Yeah.
Coffee, all that kind of stuff. It's
not going to work out well.
Not a good recipe. He's upper and downing it right now. Gil is drinking a coffee and a... yeah, he's going for it all. Well, the article also purported that Brinkley had purposefully killed his patients. And to further add this evidence, the article named 5 people who died at his hospital. And at the bottom of their death certificate was Dr. John Brinkley's name. Yet, in the eyes of the law, he was not a murderer. Malpractice. wasn't happening at the time. Nobody could get
I don't
money
trust
from
the
him.
law enough to be legitimate in seeing the proper thing. So like that's not shocking to me.
Yeah, you don't seem
And
too
I
surprised.
imagine
I was surprised when I read it. When I read it.
I think there was a lot of anticipation in what you read up to that moment. I trust your discretion a million times over, brother.
Yeah.
But like, I'm just gonna say on my end, hearing that the law didn't pick up on something so dysfunctory, right? So something so fucked up, like, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
But then again, it's 2025 America. Like, really, do your worst.
Surprising is not our thing.
Do your worst. We will pay you the most. Like
Exactly.
that is boom, baby. You got this. Yeah, that's not like shocking. Like
What's funny
to me,
is
because
that
like
there already
Go ahead.
was malpractice lawsuits where the patient won. Not in the US at the time, but the British, I think it was in the British in like 1600s. It was something
Jesus.
random. I cannot remember the actual date and I'm pretty sure it was in Britain in the like 1600s where somebody sued quotations doctor for
But your
a
honor,
procedure.
he zigged when he should have zagged. And it's like, it appears so. Magistrate, reward 10 crowns. It's like, I'm a crownier. And it's like, yes. And it's like, and they became King Charles. That's what I imagine happened. I don't know what the fuck happens in that tea drinking country. Yeah.
That's probably what happened. Probably very much like the trial that happened. Well, now, he was on trial with the medical board for his license, and looking like he was again on the path to losing it, he invited the medical board to come and view his surgery themselves. And reluctantly, the medical board accepted the invite.
Okay. Got a lot of balls.
It's true. And a few weeks later, the medical board showed up at Brinkley's hospital for the demonstration. And I say hospital because that's what it's called, in quotations. It's not technically a hospital. It's called a hospital in quotations. But it's in Kansas, so people would be like, H-O-S.
You spelled hostile wrong.
Yeah. He was very hostile, too, so it did not help.
Ew.
And like I said last week, Gil, we are going to get into that surgery right now. Get your nicest blanket and hold it close if you're squeamish. Because this is what the Kansas City Medical Board watched Dr. Brinkley perform on a patient and a goat on that day.
Come here, Salem. Yeah. I'm going to hold my cat close.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Dr. Brinkley himself said that no two operations were exactly alike, and some variations would occur. He could only teach you through experience doing it. First, he would make 2 incisions slicing into the man's scrotum under simple local anesthesia. So what I said before, he used to use the alcohol, but then he started using local anesthesia and then drinking the alcohol himself. He would then walk over to the goat that was also in the room on a bed. He would then cut out the ball glands or the ovaries from the goat, mostly only using a goat that was not more than 3 weeks old because they would give the best results. And he did that also so he would not have to slice the goat nuts in half or in pieces to implant. It was very important that the goat nuts be used within 20 minutes from the time they were taken from the goat who was in the room, and in between the extraction and implantation, they must be kept in a salt solution warmed to blood temperature, which is 98.6 degrees. He would then open the testes fully by another incision and lay the goat gland within the cleft of the balls. He would also cut parts that were kind of glued together in the sack apart with a small little knife.
Kind of glued together.
That's what he said. Now, depending on the goat and the human, as I said earlier, he would implant either part of the goat ball, a whole ball, or sometimes 2 goat balls directly into the sack of the person. Sometimes he would just sew the goat balls onto the side of the human testicle without even opening the testicle up. All dependent on the case. He would then cut and spoon out any cyst which had formed in the testicular mass, which, to be fair, could be part of what was causing things to go downhill for the patient. And by patient, I mean the human one, not the goat. He would then take a sewing needle and catgut string, and he would sew, either, depending on the surgery, sew the goat sack onto the human sack with a needle going in and out of the ball sack, also to put it up, or he would sew it up on the outside. Before that, though, he would find the tubes that were connected to the testes and he would ligate them. But again, that depends on whether he implanted them into the ball sack or joined the ball sacks together. And ligate means that he tied up the blood vessels. So he would basically tie the 2 blood vessels in there so they had nowhere to go. The point of ligating of both sides of the balls is making the emission of the semen impossible. So you basically could not ejaculate the semen out. It's weird. It's weird. The life force is what he says. The life force, then having no other outlet, can do nothing else but reinvigorate the entire system by pouring its precious fluids into the blood. So basically, your semen was going into your bloodstream. It was not helpful at all.
This is the most complicated cock ring I've ever heard of.
Mm-hmm. And after he sewed back up, sewed those balls together, sewed the little incisions or the other parts of the incisions that he made, or sewed the sack on, the operation itself was done. The patient would be told to come back in 1 year so that the ligates could be removed and the patient could procreate again. This whole, for a year, you cannot procreate because you have to get rid of the ligates, to the tied up tubes, basically. The Kansas City Medical Board didn't even wait 2 days to cancel his medical license. They canceled it within 48 hours after watching this, and we're like, nope, sorry.
That was the most horrifying thing we've ever witnessed in our life.
They just...
You know, they were all dudes, too. They were just like, oh, yep. God.
They just went, I imagine that they walked out of that place in complete and utter silence.
They all had ice on their balls walking out. Yes. None of them went under the scalpel. They were just like, oh!
Yeah.
Oh! Damn.
Yeah.
That was a narrative vasectomy. That's what you just delivered. You just gave everyone a narrative vasectomy. Like, I feel like I'm shooting blanks now, just hearing that.
Yes. Yeah, I do also want to say
better
that,
be careful. They're trying to make abortion illegal everywhere, and you just fucking aborted so many babies.
I did. Well, now,
goddamn,
I did tell you I was going to go into detail about how he did it.
You did. You fucking did. And for that, sir, I'm gonna have to say, fucking hell yeah, you did good. You did good. You did.
I also I was telling Gil before and after this, and I was just saying, like, man, I like to learn about a lot of things. And now I know way more about any kind of ball surgery with implanting goats in it than I thought I would ever knew. When I was born, I didn't ever think that I would know as much about goat testicles implanted into a human that I do now. But you never know which way life is going to go. So, hey, let's have fun with it.
And that's what you get here at BCR.
Life changing information.
It's guaranteed.
Yes.
We can't guarantee a lot here at Black Cat Report, but we can guarantee you will not leave the same person that you came
100%.
Every episode guaranteed.
Holy truth. Well, now that he had lost his radio station license, but he lost his radio station license, but it was still, he appealed for it. So at this time he could still be on air because he was on appeals. You know, all that process works is like you appeal for it, you still kind of get your like provisionary. Yeah, you get your provisionary license. He had also, but he really did lose his medical license. Like there was no going back. They were just like, we're not even, no appeals to this.
It's the craziest shit we've ever heard of. Yeah.
Yeah. He decided to do what any other normal person would do with all this going against him.
Retire?
He decided he would run for governor of Kansas.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
He was ready.
He was running for Kansas with the mentality of somebody running. They were from Chicago and they were running for Illinois as governor. Honestly, he had the governor of Illinois' mentality, but he was bringing it to Kansas. I appreciate this.
He was.
Yeah.
And on September 20th, which was just 5 weeks left until the election, he announced he was running for Kansas governor on air. 5 weeks. He didn't even have enough time to get his name on the ballot, so he ran as a write-in candidate.
Damn.
He's that crazy. To be fair, he was still so widely popular because of the radio station, because he had been going on for years, you know, almost, I think, close to a decade of radio station. And he still had a lot of happy farmers on his side. So he also had the right time on his side, too, because the stock market had just crashed. It was not that far in the past. This is 1930, right?
Yeah.
Corn production was down because of drought. And he was a genius at whipping people up, which he did almost every single day on his radio station.
He was really good at arousing the masses.
You know, he could get anything. He can get anybody up, you know, after a while.
You can arouse the asses. You can arouse the masses. That's what he always said.
He did. And he said that on his radio many times.
Many times, which is what made him lose the license.
Exactly. Yeah. Too many times. Well, he also brought in immigrants to his radio station. They spoke Dutch, French, German. They basically showed up on his show.
No one knew what anyone was saying.
Yeah, but he used the immigrants to get other immigrants on his side. So he got people like the Dutch were voting for him, the French were voting for him, and the Germans, the locals that showed up to farm, were showing up to vote for him because he was the common man in quotations because he was such a good orator, such a good speaker that he could get anybody voting for him, and they were just like, "Oh, he's a cool dude. I'd like to sit down and have a beer with him." Like, you know, like that's what the common man he was to people, and he did that.
He got the Austrians. He got the Austro-Hungarians. He got the present-day Germans. He got the Dutch. He got the Pennsylvania Dutch. He got every type of person in the world to come on to his show.
Every Germanic tribe, yes.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Joey, for being the only person in this world I can trust with that level of nerdiness for Joe.
Yes. Oh, the Germanic tribes. Well, it also didn't hurt that he had a private plane that he could literally fly anywhere in Kansas that he wanted to be for part of the day. And then He could literally just fly right back to Milford to do another 5 hours of radio talk a day. So he pushed himself down from 15 to 5 because of all the plane flights.
We need to post this, but when looking up images for like episode covers, the amount of articles that come up just across the board. If you type in Dr. John Brinkley, almost every current article is about how Dr. John Brinkley paved the way for Donald Trump to become president. Oh my fucking
100%.
God.
100%.
And like this goes back to, what is it, 2016, the first time that the first round with Trump. Like, in terms of charlatans with their own massive amount of money and their access to social media and just everything points to it was Dr. John Brinkley that set the foundations in America. Whether or not Trump followed it doesn't fucking matter. This is the playbook that you run if you run something like Trump University. This is how you become president. This is how you fucking do it. The exact same way that Trump, on like two of the debates on the Republican Party, Trump was like, "Fuck you, I'm not even showing up."
Yep.
Like, I'm just going to run in the background. I'm going to do my own shit. I'm going to fly the fucking Trump jet. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do... And just like how he ran his own fucking radio station, Brinkley did, Trump's sitting over here with Truth Social. God, yeah, Mark Twain said it right. You know, history doesn't repeat itself, but it fucking rhymes. You know?
It does,
And it's like, God damn, dude. Oof.
And I love that you bring up the Trump comparison. And
yes,
because like any good politician, he trolled people who attacked him, right? So he was just like, Donald Trump does on Twitter. Well, he did on Twitter and stuff. He would troll people. And he
is that Pocahontas? Is that Pocahontas over there? Nancy Pelosi Pocahontas. But like at the time, Brinkley was actually talking about Pocahontas. Trump just stole that from him.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sorry.
Well,
go
no.
ahead.
Well, to add to that, when a prominent local newspaper downplayed his candidacy, calling him a fraud, he responded by literally mailing them a goat. The goat of all goats. He literally mailed this guy a goat because he was just like, all right, he just leaned into it because they all knew what he did. They all knew that he was a goat, and like he used it. And what's funny too is that
Billy.
at his freaking like what do they call him? At his like rallies and stuff like that, people would go make goat noises. They were like, when he'd walk in, they'd be making goat noises, and he'd be doing the same on some of them. Like, just he played into it so much, and because he was so well known for that he just like, all right, let's play into it. Let's lean into it. And if that ain't what Trump did,
damn.
Whew.
Whew.
Yep. And what's funny,
yeah, dude,
he looked like a shoe-in to win the election, and straw polls were having Brinkley win in a landslide. That's how good he was. And let's look at it like this too. Remind you, he got into this race 5 weeks before the vote.
God damn, dude.
Oh.
If America loves anything, it's a charlatan.
But the powers that be would always, always, always look out for themselves. 100%.
True.
The two major parties were Democrat and Republican, same as they are today. Both of them got together just 3 days before the election and changed the write-in ballot rule, which was actually a Kansas Supreme Court law ruling at the time that weighed the intent of the voter. They changed this rule because of him. And this is huge because this affects now. This affects so many of us now 100%. That it's not the intent of the voter. Your write-in has to match exactly what their person's name is. And they changed it to the write-in.
Both parties are still doing that shit. As much as, and I will say this straight up, fucking hate Trump. I hate Trump with a passion. I'm not willing to to disregard the fact that he has done very specific things that I'm like, that was a good move. For instance, I got to think of one. It's hard to think of one. Starting the department on disclosure around things with like JFK, RFK, Martin Luther
that was
King
fine.
Jr.
That was good.
You know, and I was like, that's a good move. You know, I'm not going to hate you for that. A lot of shit that was bullshit. But anyways, but they did this to Trump. Trump had the money to say fuck you. He literally had
that, yeah.
fuck you money because the RNC
And
was
a little
trying
time.
to knock him down, knock him out of the
Yeah.
campaign because they were pissed. They did this shit to Bernie Sanders.
They did.
I don't want to exaggerate too far, but I will say like 60-70% of a lot of the folks that came in second round for Trump, I try to listen to both sides of the news. They're huge Bernie Sanders supporters. They just want somebody different. Bernie Sanders, not a snowball's chance in 2025, which is basically hell, to do anything against the establishment. The DNC went in overnight and slit his fucking throat with this kind of bullshit,
really
where they
did,
changed the fucking, where they're like, oh yeah, you need 150,000 signatures and you need to raise $2 million. Bernie's like, okay, we got the $150,000 and we got the 2 signatures and we gave a little bit of salami to all the cats. And they were like, oh, see, you were supposed to give the salami to the dogs. You're out. And like they changed the most nuanced fucking. It was a coup. It was a straight up like it was an assassination and it was a coup. And you could tell by the fucking numbers. Sorry. At some point, I know everybody right now that just heard that is just like, I already saw that. But in 2 or 3 years, a lot of folks are going to forget this history. I'm throwing it down for posterity. Bernie Sanders got nixed the same way they tried to nix Trump. And as much as I fucking hate Trump, I have to own up to the fact that they really did try to cut him out, and he managed to squeeze by and pissed off the party quite a bit. But
100%.
Yeah, sorry, it's my rant. It's my political rant, Joey. I'm sorry, but this goes back to the same kind of bullshit back in Kansas, where they're like, wait, you gave salami to who? The goats? You were supposed to give it to the cats. See, that's what you were supposed to do. And he's like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah. And this is 3 days before the election. So
of course, that's how they do it. There's no time to respond. Yeah.
Well, he did respond. And he responded the day as they did it. He found out and he was going, which was great because he started having them chant. He led chants in his little rallies of J.R. Brinkley. And he'd spell it out
/Patreon.com.
Yeah. Well, he had to do that because you could only write in the name one way. And if it was written another way, it had to be exact. If it was written any other way, it wouldn't count. It'd be thrown away. And so they made it so it was J.R. Brinkley. However, it did cost him the election. Of course.
Well, if they're running if the establishment is running on a campaign of technicalities, good fucking luck. Because they're the ones that wrote, control, vote on, and decide on technicalities. Like, that is a hard one. But that is a genius move to make your rally chants the literal spelling of your name when you have to be a write-in. That is so smart.
Well, Woodring, the Democrat, won and had 217,000 votes. Houck, the Republican, had 216,000. So that was a very close, you know. And Brinkley, as the write-in candidate, had 183,000 votes.
These are the official approved.
These are the official approved one. But what's
he might have had like 300,000 if it was. Sorry, go ahead.
What was interesting is that when they kind of tallied up the votes, they counted about how many votes were going for him every time he got a vote. They said 1 out of every 6 votes for him was thrown away. And so that was probably losing around 40 to 50,000 votes is how much he lost, which would have put him over the 217,000 votes, and he would have won. He was so well liked. He even won votes in towns in Oklahoma in their governor race. He wasn't even running, and he won counties in Oklahoma. That's how well he was
Educated
liked.
American electorate.
Yeah, they voted for him as the write-in candidate, and he's like, well,
Okay.
he can't win. He doesn't live here, so it doesn't really matter. But he won counties and took away votes.
Holy shit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
God damn.
Yeah. Well, even with everything behind the election, all the changes, and pretty much everyone in power angling to keep him from winning, he decided to not go for a recount, which actually probably would have assured him the win.
Yeah.
His lawyers and his managers around him also were just like, hey, look, if you do this, it's going to be a lot. The view might change of you. There'll be some stuff coming out in the press about you. It's best just to wait 2 more years and run again in the next Kansas governor election.
Okay.
You know, they're like, just wait your time. It happened before. Somebody had lost the election very closely, didn't ask for a recount. They won it 2 years later. And they're like, you're going to be like that guy. Wait 2 more years. It'll also give you all this time to promote yourself. You won't have 5 weeks. You'll have 2 years, you know?
Yeah.
He ran 2 years later. He also lost. He lost much more convincingly this time. Yeah, he lost much more convincingly this time.
Damn.
He just, public opinion went against him. The timing wasn't right. As he was
more
touring
than 2
around,
radio stations.
A lot more. More.
Yeah.
And as he was touring around, though, he started, for some reason, being afraid of people assassinating him. And he started thinking of all these elites, if I can start using that word that
the deep
people
state
would say.
Yeah.
The deep state. He was afraid that they were going to assassinate him.
Shit.
He ordered his manager, and this is a quote, to make me body armor in the style of Al Capone.
Okay.
Just like you said last episode. And so, which he, in fact, did receive the body armor and wore it to all his engagements. And the body armor for Al Capone was weird looking because it also went down to his legs. And that was one of the things, too, is that it pretty much covered his whole body except for his head. One of the weirder things, too, and it was what he said to his manager. It's kind of a weird thing. He was so afraid that he was like, do not ever tell anybody that I have body armor because they will shoot me in the head. Yep. Yeah. He said, I do not want them. Yeah. He was so afraid of that. And we'll go into the next episode of what's going on behind the scenes. Yeah. So let's keep it in your head for now. Yeah, let's keep it in your head for now. Well, after his loss in the election, he decided he had done enough for Kansas, and Kansas had done enough to him. So he decided to move what would be his new home in Del Rio, Texas, which is right alongside the border with Mexico. Yeah. And it is here that he would build the biggest radio station to exist at the time. It had a whopping 1 million watts.
Whoa.
Yes.
Yeah, damn.
And if we can add what is like how far that went, they said they were hearing it in Finland. Russian spies were using in the time right after, I think it was right after the Cold War, right during the Cold War, the beginning right after World War II, so like 1940s and 1940s.
The 50s. Late 40s, 50s.
They used the radio station to teach them English. That's how far-reaching his radio station was.
The number one way that the CIA identified Soviet spies was how much they referenced goat testicles.
Goats.
That was in the book. Yes, my American comrade. And they were like, this might be a spy. He's like, I too enjoy coffee, strong coffee, black coffee, very much stout, firm, strong, like goat testicles. And they're like, we got him! We got him!
We knew it was him.
The Red Scare was more based on goats than a lot of us realized.
Yes. And that was a true story, too. They
Codename,
were catching
the Red Scar. Yeah.
Aw. Well,
Aw.
he
Go
did
balls.
this on the border, right? So he did this in Del Rio, Texas. So to avoid the
Mhm.
pesky FRC, he actually
Mhm.
built the radio station in Mexico.
Just on the other side. Yeah.
Yep. With the
Good move.
permission and enthusiasm of the Mexican government. Because
Hell yeah.
he was going to bring money to the town, just like he did Milford. He was going to
Yeah.
bring all this stuff to the town. They were like, please, like, we don't have these border towns at the moment have like nothing. We need you to, somebody needs to go invest money in it. And so
Yeah.
they brought him over the border. He
Such
built
a
his
good
radio
move.
station. It's called in Villa Acuna, Coahuila, Mexico. I am sorry I butchered that, everybody. It was called XERA. And in 1 week in 1932, the radio station received 27,717 listener letters from across the U.S.
Whoa.
To put his reach into perspective, right? So NBC is huge, right? Even at this time.
Yeah.
His reach was farther and wider than any NBC radio station and most other radio stations put together.
This guy is inspiring, to say the
He
least.
is.
Brinkley is very inspiring.
Well, since he was located on the border of Texas and Mexico, he played a lot of Tex-Mex music and heralded such stars as Gene Autry, Jimmy Rogers, Woody Guthrie, right?
Damn.
He hit the big ones. And I do have a favorite Jimmy Rogers song. It's a 1930 song. It's actually called Give Me a T for Texas, Give Me a T for Tennessee. It's a really cool song. Really cool, like little blues, old country song. Well, weirdly enough, he would actually be the popularizing agent for country music in the 40s and 50s. Crazy.
Of fucking
crazy. Course. He's the author of the book Pope Brock, the book, the Charlatan book that we used as the main source for this. I think he said it best. He said he was an accidental titan of pop culture. And I think that is such a great description because he was just finding these people on his radio station and not really even planning it. I mean, he might have been planning it, but bringing them to his place. Here's, $100 a week. You guys are going to sing and play on the radio station. Your guys are going to be my thing. And that would get so popularized. He founded the Carter family. June Carter. He founded them and brought them to his radio station to sing. He kept them there for, I think, 3-ish months, and just had them sing every night. And they were recording. They're having fun in the studio. There's a few stories about how they almost broke up in the studio, but there was just some interesting takes on it. But he was such a big titan of making stuff famous, and we just say the same thing. He knew how to capitalize on people.
Damn.
Well, during this time, this radio station specifically was making $12 million a year at the, it's our money now. So add all this into the stuff he was already making. It's just kind of like he's diversified around,
Yeah.
Well, around mid-1934, he decided to move full-time down to Del Rio, Texas, because at the moment he was splitting his time because he still had his hospital up there, even though he couldn't himself do surgeries. And I want to make that a specific thing. He himself could not do surgeries, but his assistant, his doctors, as you said earlier, could do surgeries. So he was just kind of like, I'm still making the money. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Well, in 34, he moved to Texas and he built himself a home. And build a home he did. He basically built a huge mansion adorned with pictures of himself, pictures of his family, and of course, pictures of goats.
Never forget where you come from.
He looked up at the pictures and he was just like, that's me and a goat. That's me and a large fish I'll say something about later. That's my family. I love them. And he was pointing at the goats. That's what his family was. It had marble floors, huge entryways. And if you guys have been to the Biltmore, pretty much looked a bit like the Biltmore. And the huge freaking runway. Basically, his driveway into his home was huge. Had huge wrought iron gates with John Brinkley, Dr. John Brinkley, written on them, and it'd open up.
Hell yeah.
He threw immaculate parties with ballerinas, dancing acrobats, and even air shows while people camped out on his front lawn. And he did this all for free.
Starring Ronald True. Where do I land the plane? I mean, honestly, the years would have worked out, but yeah.
30? Yes. Yeah, actually. Well,
Ronald.
yes, I think so. Yeah. No, 34.
Within 10 years. But Ronald True was down in the Houston area. But yeah.
He probably trained people how that were flying the planes in that area.
The ones that were available for an air show in the 30s.
Yeah. It was 16 acres, the whole property too. So it was pretty.
Damn,
decent
that's
size.
a nice size. I mean, small by Texas standards. I will say that. It's very small by Texas standards, but for most of the country, it's pretty big.
Well, it's because most of it was just he imported palm trees and put a bunch of crazy stuff on the. He imported palm trees and lined them up on the road.
Fucking asshole. What fucking asshole brings palm trees to Texas? I know a majority of our listeners, because we can see the stats, are in Texas. Let's make this a question. Joey, when we publish this episode, post a poll, if you would, please. If I can be so bold, so brash, so brazen as to request, what fucking asshole brings palm trees to Texas? Because that's like bringing a sponge to the Sahara. Like, why would you do that? You're an asshole. Don't do that to a living thing. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
This asshole, this arrogant asshole, did this. Lining his whole driveway, which was a long driveway, with palm
Fucking
trees.
douche.
So,
I feel bad for these trees. Yeah.
I know, I feel really bad too. In that same time period, he created a promotional movie for himself that actually toured all the movie theaters. And it was pretty much just about boosting virility cures, using goat testicles. It was a promotional movie for himself. And it started before all the movies at the time so that he could...
It was the YouTube ad.
Yeah,
it was the YouTube ad before the video you're trying to show your friend. Gotcha.
Yep. Well, he also at this time bought 3 yachts because like he's in spending mode. Why not? You know?
Yeah.
They all had inventive names like Dr. Brinkley 1, Dr. Brinkley 2, and Dr. Brinkley 3. Yeah. He also dressed with an admiral's uniform and a sword when he was on it. He tried to live it, you know, and
if it wasn't for the cutting into balls thing,
now. Yeah,
I can't blame him for 90% of what he did. Can't blame him. The cutting into balls thing and the goat thing, and that's where I have an issue. Everything else, we could be best friends. I'm with you at the beginning. You said I would love to get a drink with him, you know, something along those lines. 100%. Yeah. Dude, could you imagine a night out on the town with this guy?
Dude, it would be nuts.
Bro. You're gonna wake up hungover with a church named after you. Like,
yeah.
I am here for this.
Yeah. Well, the last boat, the Dr. Brinkley 3, was a 172-foot long yacht with a crew of 21.
We will revenge Michael 10.
Yeah, Michael 10.
to quote from BCR 10. Movie Night.
Yeah. Michael 10.
Michael 10.
Well, that's funny.
Miss Danger 5.
BCR Movie Night. Next time.
Yeah.
Well, think about it like this, right? So he got knocked down. He got really knocked down. He lost his radio license. He lost his radio license. He lost his practicing medical license. But moving, you know, he's just like, screw it, I'm moving. And he starts all over again. He starts a new radio station in Mexico. Well, it's funny too. is I didn't put this down, but he actually had a standoff with the Mexican military because I think it was 1932, the Mexican military or the Mexican Congress seized his radio station because they got put pressure on them by the United States because there was so much pressure from the, as they call them in quotations, border blaster radio stations, which a bunch of people had started over in Mexico, and they were basically shooting over the border, shooting the airwaves over the border. The U.S. FCC didn't like it because it was breaking a lot of their rules.
Yeah.
And so the U.S. government Herbert Hoover put pressure on the Mexican government to stop those things. So the Mexican government seized his radio station. He was standing in front of the radio station with the cops of the town. They were standing behind him, protecting him. Because
he learned his lesson. Sorry, keep going. I called it. I fucking called it.
He bought their uniforms. He bought their weapons. He built the town just like he did in Milford. But this time he built a semi-army in his stead. He did, however, defuse the situation too. He said he looked at the police behind him. The federal government was in front of him, the army. Yeah. And he looked and said, my radio station, it's not worth the lives of you all, as he turned around and looked at the cops. And I was like, damn, that was good. And he said, it'll live to fight again another day. Let's step down. Let's de-escalate it. Because it got heated. Damn. It was almost about to be a fight. Murder, pretty much just a bunch of a war. And so he said, stop. Let's stop right now. We got this. It's okay. He did. 2 months later, the Mexican government gave him back his radio station because they found they had illegally seized it. And so he reopened back up. He was like, told you, we'll be all good. Thank you guys for being behind me.
Yeah. How much bread got buttered in the meantime?
So much. I bet you he was sending some money to some Congress people.
Yes. I'm sure he was like, I see a way out, everybody. You're going to really regret getting involved in this violently and having to heal. I need to keep temperatures where they're at. It's okay. I'm the Jefe here. It's okay. He backed up and he like, do. How much you need? And just started boom, 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 sending it out. He's like, this is okay. I wanted a vacation anyways. You know? Mrs. Brinkley asked for some time in Playa del Carmen, which, if you're getting married in Playa del Carmen, you should reach out to Fregoso Films. Fregoso Films ran by Betsabe Fregoso. If you need your wedding set up, recorded, photographed, whatever the fuck you need, Fregoso Films. Hit up Betsabe. You could have a member, lifetime member, Black Cat Report, filming your wedding, talking about all the behind the scenes things, having a fucking great time in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. This episode is not brought to you by
Fregoso Films.
Yeah.
A100 advertisement right there. And speaking of going on vacation with the family, he did spend a few months with the family on their yachts, going around to different countries. Am I related
to this guy?
Yeah.
I feel related to this dude.
Yeah. He's in all of us. There's a little Brinkley in all of us. There's a little goat,
a little
testicle man in all of us. Yeah.
We all got a little goat in us.
Yeah. Well, as he was going around the world, he even caught the biggest tuna ever caught in the Western Hemisphere. It was 788 pounds.
Son of a bitch. I leave it to this motherfucker to have the big fish story that's actually true.
Yep. Yep, he caught a fucking big fish. And that's funny. I don't know if you're talking about the movie Big Fish. That's like
I'm not. I'm talking about the phrase.
But that's a good allegory too, because all of this seems so fantastical, but it's true.
I wonder how many like lead sinkers he fed to this fish before they weighed it, just to kind of like get it over them. Because like honestly, hey fisherman, I'm not a fish. I'm not a man. I'm not a fisherman. I don't know what the fuck I am. But the point is, this week, I'm giving you advice. If you're trying to get that winning trophy, you're probably not using an x-ray. Just start pumping fucking sinkers down the fish's throat. Those lead weights, pump them down the throat, then throw it up on the scale. Honestly, this is a good move. Somebody's probably thought of it, but I just thought of it now. So
Yeah,
that's all I
it's
got.
good advice.
I don't.
Yeah, it's good advice.
I'm just saying, if you're gonna charlatan, you got a charlatan. Make it a charlatan. That's what I'm saying. Go 10.
Make a Charlotte 10 out of 10. Well, yeah, exactly. He did before that catch a huge fish as well, and that fish was posterized in his home. He put a picture of him catching, I think it was like the biggest fish in Massachusetts or something like that at that time, and it wasn't even the biggest in the Western Hemisphere, but he took a in the bays and waterways around Massachusetts, in Maine,
Yeah.
and he put a picture of that in his home. So that was I think that when I was listening to the story, if I'm correct, that was the picture that was in the entranceway as you walked in. You have your big unfurling of your room of the house. Yeah, the foyer.
Yeah.
And the picture was him catching that fish. That was posterized, picturized up on the wall.
Yeah.
Yep. It was his Michael Jordan dunk. That was his yep.
He just had dress shoes with like him catching the fish sewn on the back.
Yeah. Sewn into a body. Yeah.
Yeah.
What if I do fish bowls next?
Christians will love it.
Yeah, that's true. Well, on his travels, he even bought a monkey. Of course he did.
I swear to God, if it's Bubbles' grandpa, I'm live on air. I'm going to break my very expensive work computer if it is Bubbles, Michael Jackson's monkey. If it's this chimpanzee, I'm breaking the fucking computer and this podcast ends right now. Joey, lie to me.
I cannot tell you if it was related to Bubbles. I don't think it was.
Are you sure?
I am sure.
Okay.
He bought the monkey from a criminal in another country. The criminal was he paid, so like the whole thing surrounding that was
Suge
so weird.
Knight?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Are you sure?
I don't know what actual country it was from, but he bought it from a criminal. That the criminal was like doing work around the governor at that time who he was visiting. It was in some random country that I don't know. Yeah, chimpanzee train. Yeah. And so he just was like, I like that monkey, and then he just like, how much do you want for it? And he's like, this is my monkey. I'm not selling it. He was like, all right, here's $600. Gil's destroying his computer at this time. Anyways, well, he would walk around.
Tune into the live stream if you want to see what happened. It wasn't exciting, and you'll regret tuning in.
Exactly. Well, he would even bring this monkey on his shoulder down the stairs when he greet guests. And one specific memory was the Carter family was the one who said that he had a monkey because they walked into his house in Del Rio and he came down the stairs, like galloping down the stairs with his monkey on his shoulder. And they were just like, yeah, that's what he did. This is truly him starting to live his best life. And he started to enjoy this world, because if you think about it before, it's not even that long ago for him either. If you think about it before, he wasn't really spending his money. The money he was spending was on the people of the town. And yeah, he did that now, but he never really spent it on himself. He spent it on the business. Now he's like, build my mansion, buying yachts. I'm going to travel with my family. He's in that part of his life, enjoying the world, even with all the downturns that are happening. He was rich, and he was still happy. Like we said, with losing his radio license, losing his medical license, it maybe made him a little happier to do that. Well, in mid-June of 1937, a cruise boat called the Queen Mary pulled out of New York Harbor with Brinkley and his family on board. They brought their what do you call it, their kids teacher, their their kids teacher,
Au pair.
au pair of some way. It was a guy. Their teacher was 20s. He was in his 20s. So they brought him on board just so they could teach while they're on, they can go out, sit in the sun, enjoy the nice cruise ship. And so the boat was on its way to Europe. And it was going so that Brinkley could attend the International Rotary Club meeting to represent Del Rio, Texas. Well, he got on his cruise ship, the Queen Mary, with his family, the teacher, to head overseas to Europe for the Rotary Club. Little did he know that on this cruise ship, he would come face to face for the first time with his Arch-Nemesis. And that's where we'll pick up next time with the introduction of John Brinkley's Arch-Nemesis and the complete downfall of John Brinkley on the conclusion of our series on Dr. John Brinkley, Goat Ball Doctor Extraordinaire.
Fuck yeah!
We want to thank all of you for keeping up with us at BCR and our ever-changing schedule of topics. And we want to implore you to give us a follow wherever you are listening to this. YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Patreon. Go to our Patreon.
Podcast Addict, Deezer. What else? God, I have a fucking list. Honestly, and we still maintain the same bounty. If there is a platform that you use and you can't find Black Cat Report on, reach out to us. You will get a free sticker. You will get a letter in the mail from Joey and I, handwritten with a thank you. We have a running bounty. There's a single platform out there. We will send you free merch. We will send you free something. We'll send you a thank you. We've done our best to get on over, I think, like 85 platforms. I have a running spreadsheet. It's getting ridiculous. So,
also, just a little tap. Go over to our Patreon. Patreon.com/Black Cat Report. It's where all the things are released there. You can check out when our live schedule releases. It's all really cool. And, Gil, next 2 weeks from now, we will have Beer, Booze, and Boogeymen released. It'll be a live show, and it is on August 5th.
April.
So, I keep saying August. It is our B3 release on April 5th. We will be going live April 5th at 7:30, I believe.
7:30 p.m. Eastern, and the topic is, the best pranks you have ever done. Doesn't have to be paranormal. Just, when did you fuck with your brother? When did you fuck with your sister? When did you fuck with your mom, your dad, your cousin? What is the best prank you've ever pulled in your entire life? Or paranormal games. When did you do Bloody Mary? When did you drink a Bloody Mary and do a Bloody Mary? When did you drink a Bloody Mary with Bloody Mary while doing Bloody Mary just to realize the Bloody Mary was sitting next to you and you were drunk the whole time? Who knows? Point is, there's still time. Look up a paranormal game, play it, record it, send it to us. You can go to ghost.beer. It's not .com. It's not not .org. Beer, B-E-E-R. Ghost.beer. Send you all the links. You can find it. That is on April 5th. Please submit your stories, or at the very fucking least, you ain't got shit to do. We know you don't have shit to do.
You really don't.
Tune into the live stream. It'll be fun. It's always fun. We take live calls. We don't know what the fuck's gonna happen.
We don't.
Yeah.
And now, we'd like to give the shout out to our Patreon members. We want to thank Bobby, Peak of the Mountain Productions, Tim, Max, Ian, Morgan, Dragon Paul, Miller's Monsters, Marissa, Leader of the Chicken Cult, Rachel, Av, Jaden, Jackie, Lucas, Yellow Bear, Dwayne, Alyssa, Bree, Michael, Paranorm Girl Podcast, James, and last but not least,
Motherfucking Hoppy Kitty, our sexiest producer.
Thank you so much. And next time, we will see you maybe a little less than a week from now. We'll see. But there will be part 3 coming up. So from here, from Black Cat Report to you.
We love you all. Bye.
Bye.